Morning, I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer Cris Carter. This is Nick Wright. Good weekend?
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Big show today.
My weekend was awful.
Was it awful?
Yeah, it was.
You had
Not
a
even
pretty
true. You
awesome
had an exciting weekend. We just can't talk about it.
Well,
a lot of stuff going on with Cris Carter.
There you go. More drama in Pittsburgh. Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster got into a war of words. LeBron James, he's getting his pitch ready to bring in another superstar to the Lakers, but we got to start with the Final Four.
Let's do this, Jenna. Give me a
Yeah, baby. Championship game is tonight. That's a questionable decision you just made. How we got there stirred up a bit of controversy. Auburn, UVA, questionable calls at the end. First, the refs missed a double dribble on UVA's Ty Jerome, then down two. Kyle Guy fouled, taking the corner three, puts him at the line, and what does he do? He nails all 3 free throws. Said afterwards he was nervous as hell. UVA wins, advancing to the national title game. And that is tonight. What a game in this one. CC, what did you make of the ending here? Really the last minute or two.
It's tough, and it's even more tough for amateur sports compared to professional. Professionally, typically you think that there will be a next chance for a team. So when you get young people, and especially the emotion of it, man, you see the tears and everything, and you can't turn back the clock. You know, Auburn deserves better. But in real time, I don't know how they're going to get the call right. The way the ball bounced, and especially the call as far as was it double dribble, I think the way the ball bounced into the backcourt, it looked like the defender had either touched it or it hit off of his foot. So I could understand why the referee in that situation, real time, he's expecting a foul to be called. So he couldn't see that in real time. But of course, we have the replay, so it put the refs at a huge disadvantage. You would like to see the Auburn kids, because they played a hell of a basketball game, to be able to get a better whistle. But sometime in sports, that's the way it works out. Like, they should have gotten that call right there, had the ball, they would have won the game. Now we know Virginia's playing for the championship tonight because there was no call made.
So, listen, first of all, ton of credit to Virginia. I said before the tournament there were two major storylines of this tournament. One was Zion and Duke, and the other one was a referendum on Tony Bennett's Virginia Cavaliers. After all of these flameouts in the tournament, all these years of not playing to their seed, last year becoming the first one to ever lose to a 16, this tournament, fair or otherwise, was going to be a true referendum on their style of play, slowest in all of college basketball, defensive-oriented, and now they're a game away from the title. And the way they've won the last two games is remarkable, but credit to them, and credit to Kyle Guy, who hit a three in the corner to give them a chance, and then hit those 3 free throws, which is insane. Even as an 80% free throw shooter, your odds of making all 3 in a row are about 50-50 as far as making all 3 of them.
Add all the pressure and the circumstances.
And then the pressure, I thought he would have been lucky to go 2 of 3. So credit to them for what they've accomplished. But the way they got here at the end is ridiculous. When I was watching it in real time, I thought that was obviously a double dribble. And the referee had a better view than I did, because he's coming up from behind. He can see. I thought that the ball did not touch Auburn, that it clearly went off because where the Auburn defender is, he's out in front of him. And then the other call, which has just been, I think, probably in large part because after the game, Charles Barkley, an Auburn alum, was very gracious about it. The other call has just been accepted. Oh, that's the right call. No, it's not. That is not the right call. That is a call that could go either way at any spot of the game, much less the final play of the game. He goes straight up.
No, he doesn't.
Well, see, let me finish what I'm saying here. He puts his arm straight up and he jumps. Now he moves forward in the jump. I understand that, and he hits him with his hips.
And him moving forward, it's not a foul. But when you move forward into the landing spot of the jump shooter.
Look at this picture, this still graphic they have here. That's a good way of referencing it.
I understand the still image makes that look like it's an obvious foul. In real time, that is a call. Would we agree that sometimes goes called, sometimes goes uncalled throughout a basketball game?
I'm not going to agree with it because you're supposed to call it. If you foul him at the beginning, if it's the opening tip, if you foul him in 20 seconds, it's still a foul, especially a jump shooter. You have to leave him room to land. So say, okay, jump shooters, for the first 39 minutes, we're going to leave you room to land. But in the last minute of the game, no, you have to make adjustments. So now the defender can slide up on you. It's a scary basketball play. You can hurt a guy. And when you leave your feet, it would have been different. If he had stayed on the ground and had brushed against the player, they wouldn't have called the foul. But the key to it was he left his feet. And as a defender, when you leave your feet,
you leave yourself open to the call. Absolutely.
You cannot enter what they call the cylinder of the player.
His
and
own
the cylinder,
airspace.
it's an imaginary cylinder around that player from the floor going on forever and ever.
Yep,
so,
exactly.
Regardless of what time it was, you can't slide under a jump shooter, let alone it being for the game winner.
And this is maybe just a sports philosophical difference. I don't think you can, anything involving calls, and I know a lot of people agree with you on the regardless of time it was, that's not how I feel. I feel like in the final play of games, and I think we see this across sports where there are whistles, really football and basketball, baseball doesn't apply, to have the game decided at the line, it has to be egregious, typically. That is the way it is with Hail Marys in the NFL. That is the way it is when guys drive to the basket late in games.
But that doesn't make sense, though. You can't coach players that way. You can't tell the players, hey, man, for this part of the game, it's going to be ref this way. Because at the end of the game, you know what the end of the game is going to mirror? What the referees have called during that game. And if they had this at the 5-minute mark, at the 15-minute mark, they would have called this foul. It was an obvious foul. The shooter has nowhere to land.
See, that's if it was an obvious foul, I would agree with you. I don't think, let me ask you this. If no whistle had been blown and the game had just ended there, do you think there would be controversy this morning over that non-call? Because to me, unless we think there would have been people up in arms about a non-call, then it wasn't an obvious foul. It was, you can argue it was a foul. You can argue they made the right call, but it wasn't to me an obvious foul. And if they hadn't called it, no one would be upset.
Could the shooter land in his space?
No.
Oh, okay, then it's obvious.
Okay, all right.
You can't train players that it's going to be a different whistle at a different part of the game. The refs have to be consistent, just like the coaches train the players. Players don't think that way. They don't think at the end of the game, a guy's not going to blow his whistle. Like, he knew he was in his airspace. If you put truth serum in that guy right there, I'm like, yes, I got too close to him. I was in his landing spot. They're going to probably call a foul on me.
There's one non-call and then the double dribble, and then there was an actual call here. What's the solution? What's the answer? Do people want to see more instant replay at the end to try to get this stuff right?
There's no solution to this. I mean, and by the way, we shouldn't expect the refs in college basketball to be as good as the refs in professional basketball. The double dribble to me is a tough miss and a bad miss. This one, obviously, some people think it wasn't even a missed call. So I don't think that instant replay would have done anything for the end of the game. And the double dribble, no, we don't need more instant replay. This is just going to happen in sports. Is if things come down to the end, you can get screwed on the back end of it, or you can get fortunate on the back end of it, as Virginia did. And it shouldn't be missed that the kid had to go make all 3 free throws. When they made the call, I thought we were going to overtime. I thought he could make 2 of 3. He's a good free throw shooter, and we'd go to overtime.
Yeah, he's a tremendous shooter. They call him free for a reason. I thought the game was going to be over with.
Right.
Like, shooting free throws is not a lost art.
Right.
And they fouled the wrong guy. I mean, this was not the most difficult. The three-pointer he made to get him in position was more difficult. I thought that he was going to make him exactly what you're supposed to do, a guy shooting it like that, because it's really just about making the first 2. It's not about making 3. It's about making the first 2 to be able to tie the game. And then you separate the last one. That's the way coaches have taught it. You don't try to make all 3 from the beginning. Concentrate on the first 2, because that will determine, man, what that third one, what's going to be at stake. And now that the game is tied, you can see on that last one.
Pressure on the last.
It's a pure stroke. I mean, that thing hits it. That's like Steph Curry. Like, we're going to foul Steph Curry to be able to win the game. The game's going to be over with.
Well, after that win over Purdue and then the win Saturday night, it certainly seems like destiny is on the side of Virginia this season. All right, time now for Put a Grade on It, sponsored by CarMax. We're going to jump to the NBA here. Warriors beating up on the Clippers big time, 131-104 in their final game at Oracle. In so doing, they clinched the 1 seed, hit the 56 win mark for the 5th year in a row. So, Nick, put a grade on the Warriors season.
I'll give them a B+. They accomplished everything they would have wanted to accomplish except for home court throughout the NBA Finals if they go up against Milwaukee, potentially Toronto. But the most important thing for them is health. They're going to go into the postseason healthy. They get the 1 seed in the West, which they didn't get last year, so I'll give them a B+.
If you tell me in the preseason they're going to win 56 games and the guys are going to be healthy, I'm being like, okay, no problem. Let's get ready for the playoffs. I give them an A+ in what they did because they faced some adversity. They got through some stuff. Draymond, KD, they got through some stuff. They got Bogut at the end of the season. He's going to be able to help them. For me, A+ work by the Warriors as they're on their way to their 3rd straight championship.
All right, speaking of adversity, LeBron James coming up. How should he recruit another superstar to join the Lakers? That's next on FS1. You can always check us out on the Fox Sports channel.